I said at my dad's memorial, whenever the doctor came in, he was pretty sick. He's like, "Yeah, this is my son, Clint here. He's the good-looking one." And then I was like, "Oh, cool. That's kind of nice." And then he followed it up with, "Because he's definitely not the smart one." Oh, thanks.
You're listening to the Homeboys podcast, recorded in our Indiana office and with combined 40 years of experience. Here's your hosts, Clint and Scott.
Hey, everybody. You're with the Homeboys on the Homeboys podcast. We got an exciting show today. We are talking about getting started in investing in real estate and also scalability and carrying it on through properties 2, 3, 4, and beyond. As always, I'm here with my co-host, Mr. Scott Adams.
Hi, buddy.
How are you, my friend?
Couldn't be better.
I feel the same way.
Yeah, good. This is a good topic, though. It's something that comes up a lot, so I'm excited to talk about it today.
I think it's always a topic in any investment circle. There are people that are kind of wanting to get into investing. They don't know, how to get into it. And then also in those same circles, there's people that are wanting to do more.
Sure.
And I don't think that ever stops. I want to do more.
Right. And it's the first one's always the hardest, so to speak. So it's a great topic because you and I both got started in different ways, but it was, how do you start? There's a million ways to do it. There's a million people out there telling you a lot of bad ways to do it that we don't necessarily agree with. There's a lot of info out there on different ways to do it. But it brings it down to our number one thing with getting started, which is to do it now.
Absolutely. And it doesn't feel like it was 20 years ago that I was doing it now.
That's right.
And I look back on it pretty favorably. I had a phenomenal experience in my first house. We talk about our first house. You actually have a picture in your office.
Yeah, an artist
drew of the first home that you purchased, which I think is awesome. I wish we would have brought it in here for today.
Yeah, it's pretty neat. There's that first house can be pretty special. We have some clients who have made photo books of their houses. So, house one with before and after and all of those things. So, it's something to be proud of.
I think that's awesome. And I think that's something that investors should listen to. I wish I'd started some kind of book like that. Now I feel like we're to the point of no return.
Yeah, I mean, we do such a high volume, though. I mean, you're talking 10 houses a month on a good month. So, I mean, our photo book would be too giant at that point. But at the beginning,
maybe it'd be fun to put the extreme failures.
Yeah,
the ones that were really bad.
Man,
just the turds of the portfolio.
What not to do? What not to do?
I've got a few in my mind, and you know exactly which ones I'm talking about. If I were to rattle them off, that would, that'd be a nice little icebreaker to go back and get a laugh here and there.
Yeah, it's neat because you can be excited about the great ones. You're excited about the first ones. You're excited about the great ones, but there's also something interesting about the bad ones. You learn so much from those bad ones too.
And you haven't invested in, I know enough is a bad word, but say in a lot of real estate if you haven't had a few bad experiences.
Right.
It happens. Your goal is to minimize that.
We like to tell our clients our goal is to take the suck out of real estate for them. We just try to smooth the path for them. Mm-hmm. It's still a bumpy path. We just try to make it easier using our experience and our great teams. I saw the whole PM team is out there meeting today.
Yeah.
And when I pulled in, I just thought to myself, there's a lot of knowledge in this building on real estate.
Yeah, there is.
It's pretty neat when the whole PM team is together out there.
Well, let's scale this back and go way back, and let's try to dumb this down a little bit. We all know that you're much smarter than I am.
Yeah.
And, so for me, humor me. Let's go back to step 0.
Okay.
As far as getting into real estate. So start us at step 0 and get us in.
Sure. So step 0 is that you want to do it. You have an inkling. You've heard about it. Maybe you have a friend who did it or a family friend, or maybe a parent owns a rental house and you think, okay, I'd like to do that. To me, that's step 0. Step 0 is understanding that it's something that you want to pursue a little bit. During step 0, you'll want to proceed towards step 1 by building a roadmap, kind of understanding, okay, setting some very minimal goals. You don't have to understand the whole process or have your whole life road mapped out, but it's just you want to get a general feel for what it is you're wanting to accomplish. Why do you want real estate? Do you want it for the cash flow? Do you want to build your retirement so that when you're 40, you can retire? If you're young in your 20s and you start this, you can easily retire in your 40s if you do this right.
Which is what we always preach.
Correct.
Being conservative.
Being conservative.
We try, if people come in with grandiose dreams of pulling in a Ferrari, right away, we always try to take that back a few steps. This is sound real estate, investing.
Yeah, we always talk about it being a way to build generational wealth. It's probably the number one. It's not probably. It is the number one way to build generational wealth, and it's the number one avenue to become a millionaire. It's not the number one avenue for millionaires to invest in. It's the number one avenue to become a millionaire. So, step zero means you don't have to be a millionaire. You don't have to be rich to start doing this. I want to make sure this is accessible for everyone. It may not seem that way, but step zero is having that desire, realizing there's a way to do it, even if I'm not a millionaire, even if I'm not making giant money. There's a way. And the point is this should be an avenue to get you to become a millionaire, not, hey, I'll save, I'll become rich, and then I'll buy a bunch of real estate.
Right.
You're going to miss out on all the time value. And time value is very important, meaning the longer you own these, the faster they're paid off and the more you've built up, your wealth.
Slow and steady wins the race.
It does. And if you start early, you're able to not rush. You can then take your time and make smarter decisions. So step zero is wanting to do it. It's kind of having a broad outline of what it is that you're wanting to do it for. Your outline will change after you get into it. Most people, it changes where they start to think bigger. So if your goal for roadmap number one is just to get a house, that's fine. If your roadmap is to get to 10 houses so that you can retire with, say, an extra $15,000 a month in retirement income, great.
So we got an inkling, we got a dream, we got an interest in getting into real estate, which takes me back, and I know that I was one of those that had a hard time, figuring out how to get into it.
Right.
I was in love with real estate well before I was even knew what real estate investing even was.
Sure.
But then after you have that dream, then what do you suggest for investors? What's the next step?
Well, you and I think that the next step is to kind of start building your team and to have a better grasp of the markets that you think might work. So it doesn't take a lot of work. You don't have to research every city and figure it out. You can, with the internet these days, it's so easy to find groups like us and see a group that you might respect or their personalities mesh up with yours. You respect how they operate. There's a lot of groups out there, and they put themselves out there, and you can find one of them. That, to me, that's the best way to start.
So when you say team, you're talking about an affiliate like us in a city that specializes in a certain market, or a real estate agent.
Correct.
Lender.
Yep. Lender is a key person in your team. There's a few lenders out there who do a great job with newbies. There's one lender in particular in the investment world. We've talked on this before, but there's less than 10 companies that are top tier specialists in mortgages for investment properties.
Walking into your big branch bank is not normally the direction that we recommend.
Correct. They're just not specializing in it, and it makes it more difficult. You want to work with one of these specialists, but they help you build your roadmap, some of these lenders. I'm thinking of one in particular who will literally take you on a retreat with him. He'll take like 10 clients on a retreat and help them build their 10-year goals.
We got to get him on the show. He's
pretty special.
I've got a man crush on that guy.
Yeah.
He's something else.
He's all alpha male.
Anytime I'm around him, I just grab a notepad and just say go.
Yeah.
I love listening and learning.
Yeah, but he sent us a picture not long ago of him standing next to a grizzly bear. And when he sent it, I looked at it, I go, yeah,
It was
perfectly normal.
It was
perfectly normal.
a giant bear.
I didn't even pause. It was like, yeah, okay, he probably wrestled it.
And then I think that a few months later we got a picture with like an elk, I think. A dead elk and an NFL Hall of Famer.
Oh, that's right.
They were out hunting together. It's like Walter Mitty and Forrest Gump all rolled into one. But anyhow, the lenders. I think it's important to mention accountants. I think it's accounting is so essential to start knowing what your bottom line is immediately. So, I think that if you're not an accountant or you don't have an accounting background, getting paired with an accountant that could help you through the process is so important. I've told many people that, I graduated from Indiana University Business School.
Right.
And I just got a management degree because I had no idea what I wanted to do. But if I could have went back in time and had that accounting background, it would have helped me so much in my career. I had to learn it along the way. Yeah. But anyhow, the accounting portion of real estate investing, we hold it very, very tight.
And I feel like there's going to be some costs, obviously, with having an accountant. But like you said, my major at IU was finance with minors in accounting and economics. I don't trust myself to do that, to understand these tax codes and where the best places. So even if you are pretty well-rounded in filing your own taxes and accounting, it still can be beneficial to have an accountant there.
Totally agree.
So we suggest, an accountant. You can go a step further and you can line up a lawyer. Usually groups like us have a lawyer that can help talk with you about legal entities and things like that. I wouldn't necessarily suggest you need a lawyer on payroll, so to speak. But that's a whole nother topic. The
clock has started. It's a different world. I come from a family of attorneys, so.
But you'll have some light legal expenses along the way, to protect yourself. But it's not much. So anyway, so you found a group. You can either pick the group based on the group that you like, or you can pick it kind of based on the city. Say you like Memphis. You think that they've got good returns and you like the economy there. Then you can start looking for a Memphis group. Or if you like Indianapolis, you can find us.
So we have the team in place. You've got a realtor that you trust, that you vetted, or you've got an affiliate. Normally they're going to have their real estate license. You got an accountant. You've built your team, so you're ready to dive in. Backing up just a little bit, down payment.
Sure. So again, you don't have to be rich to do this. In fact, we think that you should start talking to these groups and start lining this all up before you even have it. If you have it, great. Even if you don't have that money, we don't think you should wait to do these things. We think you should meet with the groups. We think you should, figure out what kind of city you want to be in so that you can hit the ground running when you start. But more importantly, they're going to help outline what you need to reach in order to do this. Sometimes the goal is much more achievable than people realize, and that's just the motivation they need. So we suggest you sit down with these groups and line them up, tell them what you're trying to do, and a good group is going to work with you, or a good realtor is going to help guide you on that path. And any of them will be happy to work with you even though you're not a client yet. They'll be happy to help you get from point zero to the start line.
Right.
In fact, I almost feel like that's the most important part. It's easy to say, well, someday I'm going to start and I'm going to buy these houses. I need to save first. Save how much? Where are you going to do it? Why not line that up, know what you need, and know where that start line is, and know where you're going to start in advance? It's very important to me. Those are the people we see get started. The people that the clients when we're out on the speaking circuit, when we're talking to people, a lot of them, I'd say 90% don't own any real estate yet. And they're there lining it up, and then they become clients and we get a front row seat to their success, which is awesome. But, the people who end up being successful real estate investors almost all start before they know anything about it and have the money in a lot of cases. So that would be, to me, that next step.
Yeah, and just to add, on the down payment, I'm a huge believer in having skin in the game. there's other ways of getting into real estate with no money and, using other people's money. A lot of times it's high interest situations.
Right.
I've just seen a pattern of success with real estate investors that the ones that have skin in the game, their mindset is a little bit different. And their levels of success is different as well.
Sure.
It's
a commitment. They're committed.
Correct. I mean, it puts you into the property where, you go find, hard money at 15% and 2 points or, whatnot. It takes a certain mentality away from you that I feel like successful real estate investors need, which is, I got my ass on the line here because I've got my hard-earned money into this property.
Right.
I'm not going to screw it up. Whereas if you have no money, involved whatsoever, I think people make bad decisions that way.
For sure.
And I'm not saying that there's people that don't do it successfully. They do. But there's a correlation that we see with our successful clients and other real estate investors that are successful. Whenever they have their own skin in the game or started out with their own skin in the game, most of the times they're more successful.
They are. Property number one is usually the hardest to come up with the money for, and the only asterisk to what you said is I've seen a few people who got very aggressive in order to get their first house and then became more with their own skin in the game, and they rolled their success into the more real estate. They didn't keep going on that path, though. Those are the people that we see fail. People are constantly borrowing too much money to build.
Refi till you die.
Buying giant portfolios, and they're just off their rockers,
It drives me nuts. It's just, I see it a lot. I listen to a lot of real estate podcasts, and that is preached a bunch.
Yeah,
suck all the equity out of your home and invest in more. And I just don't believe in that. If the economy always is on an upward trajectory, on a constant upward trajectory, that will work.
Right.
But as we know, that's not how the economy works.
Sure.
I mean, it's cyclical. It goes up, it goes down. What goes up must go down. So I believe in.
You're living on the knife's edge 100% of the time when you're doing that. Why do it? Real estate can be something very different than what a lot of those gurus teach. It can be again, I say it all the time, generational wealth builder that is a way to breathe easy because you have it. It can be an asset that takes the stress away. Why add all this stress into it and take it right to that edge to build more?
And I talk about my own personal situation, not to toot my own horn, but I had a real estate portfolio that I had from even before you and I going into business, and I never took anything out of it. I mean, never paid ourselves a nickel, off of it. And it was amazing because I was basically on about a 10-year plan for a 25 rental portfolio where after 10 years, they were all paid off.
Right.
And then it's like overnight, the cash flow increase was just
Well, that brings us to scaling.
Immense. So, yes.
So scaling. So, you've got your goals kind of lined out. Let's say that someone's goals are, well, before I go through specific examples, scaling can be done at almost any level.
So you're talking about just building your portfolio.
Correct. Going from one property to X, however many it is that you want to do. And it usually ends up being X times 2 because you usually want more after you've got
And I think it's important to talk about scalability because we see it all the time where people will get one house and then they, get complacent and just don't get up and do more.
I'm not one to push people to buy more houses than they're comfortable with because I believe real estate should bring you literally comfort, not stress. But
well, if you're doing it, I think I kind of agree and disagree, but I think if you're doing it right, the more you do, the more comfort it can provide.
Correct. That was my point, which is if you have just one house, that can be stressful because if there's a bump in that road on one house.
No diversification.
No. If you got 10 houses and you got one house that's vacant that month because you're doing a tenant turn, you still got all that other rental income to pay your mortgage. So if it's tough to just
Great
do
point.
one, you know. For me, again, I don't want to push people to ever do more than they should. But if you're going to do this, we do suggest you need a portfolio. We believe in the idea of a portfolio, not just a rental property or even two. We believe in building a decent portfolio that will help you through the bumps. You know, that diversification. So how do you go from step 0 to step 1 to step 2? You've got your first house. Then the next. How do you move on to that next one?
I think it's kind of challenging because I think everyone's roadmap looks different. I think it's you sitting down with your team, you know, like we discussed.
Right.
I think that having the mindset of knowing that you want more is the biggest step. And I think if you have that mindset, I think that a lot of times it will take care of itself. You know, what on, you know, property, you know, 2 is involved from a financing standpoint, and property 3 and property 4. But, you know, to me, you know, having the drive to be able to know that you do want more and that you're ready to scale is a big portion of that. And 2 is, I believe in boring.
Yeah.
I believe in making real estate as boring as humanly possible. And when I say that, I mean not taking all the money out of your properties,
right,
and saving, and then buying another conservative investment, and then using that to pay down the debt service, and, you know, making it boring. The ideas of you know, going from 0 to 100 immediately. Well, if you're going from 0 to 100, you're going to have to borrow the money from somewhere.
But boring, you can get there just as quick, because
you can.
When you say boring, you're talking about basically not taking the money out of that house and throwing it in your pocket and spending it.
Right. By
boring, you're saying, let's use the rental income. You know, your tenant's going to be paying down your mortgage, plus you'll have profit. And what Clint is saying is, you take that profit part and you put it back into a savings account, and that will help you get to property 2 much faster. You'll have your down payment faster for property 2 than you did property 1, because you'll have your income that you're saving from your job, supposedly, and then you'll have the income from that property that's also going into that, and you'll get to property 2. Property 3 goes faster, property 4 goes even faster, and it just snowballs, because before you know it, you've got a portfolio that's paying for you to save to get to the next one. Then you reach a point where you've hit your goal as to number of houses, right? Then that's where we differ than almost everyone out there. Every guru I've ever heard thinks differently than you and I and a lot of the successful people we know on what to do at this point.
I don't like many of the gurus, though,
no,
quite honestly.
No. You know, that. Yeah, we could go on and on about that.
It's a crap word.
Yeah, I know.
Really?
Yeah.
Guru.
Yeah, I just watched a documentary, I Am Not Your Guru. Anyway,
so but I'm talking about the guys that, you know, that have like the infomercials.
Oh, I know.
Pulling up in a Bentley, and,
yeah,
you know all this silliness. I listen to a lot of motivational stuff at my desk, as you know. And one of the biggest guys, and I liked his book. But, you know, he preaches, you know, to not own a house.
Right.
You know, he preaches to, you know, use other people's money, you know, all the time. And
very aggressive.
I don't know. I think that he's good because it's different than your conservative, traditional way of investing. And I think that's a big sales tactic.
For sure.
You know, we see it with many other so-called gurus.
Aggressive sells. It sounds sexy. It's more exciting, you know, and it sells, but it doesn't build the kind of wealth that we see being conservative build. So, you know, when you get to that point where you've built your portfolio to kind of the level you were trying to get to, okay, you're happy with the number you have. It's got diversification. You can handle the bumps in the road. What we preach next is, again, different than what just about everyone else out there says, which is to pay off your debt on them.
Right.
It's to just let those rents come in and send it right into your mortgages. Pay them
or
down.
take the money and go to Vegas and put it all on black, and then come back and double down.
Right.
You know? It's just sound real estate. You know,
sound advice. But so for an example, for folks who don't have any houses, let's say you spent the next, let's say 5 years and you got to 10 houses, right? Mm-hmm. And you're at that point, you're 30 years old. You started in your 20s, you're young, you're 30 years old, you got 10 houses, you got 10 mortgages on those houses, but you got a lot of rental income coming in. You most likely got 30-year mortgages on those houses. If you accelerate and start putting your excess rents towards paying down your debt service, you can have those houses paid off in 15 years. Mm-hmm. I mean, there's no reason you shouldn't be able to.
In fact, that's the time frame that I recommend.
Right. So in 15 years, so that would make you 45 years old. 10 houses, our average houses are worth, say, $150,000. And if you count it, I'm not even going to count in appreciation that those houses will be worth down the road, which is 3 to 4% more per year. But you'll have a portfolio worth $1.5 million paid off free and clear that is bringing in at least $15,000 a month. So you want to go sit on the beach at 45 and retire? This can literally be done.
10 homes, realistic.
Correct.
We have many clients that have 10 plus properties.
Yep.
10 homes, $15,000 a month, $1.5 million in net worth.
You can just take $15,000 a month that just comes into your mailbox and just do it into infinity, right off to the sunset. Or if you want to take a big lump, sell them at that point. Sell your portfolio. You get $1.5 million, and that's on the conservative side. So
we're talking just be conservative to get there.
Correct.
But then once you're there,
there's the true excitement and wealth and money.
Then there it is.
There's your Ferrari. Mm-hmm. If you can be patient with this, correct, instead of taking money along the way, then you can get to the Ferrari. You can get to the private planes even.
I've been patient. Right. And, I have the portfolio. I drive a 1995 Chevy Tahoe. So, I mean, that's a big sales tactic, which I kind of love that, though.
But how many cars do you own, though?
I mean, if you're talking,
lot.
Yeah, but if you're talking about, a lot of it's, for our office, and of course, I
couple collector cars.
I have to have a big family van for road trips. But
don't let him fool you. He's had a lot of success in what we've done. He's a very humble guy. We try to remain humble in what we do. We try to remain humble in the image we put out there and the cars that we drive. But don't let him fool you. He's had great success. He's done what we're talking about doing at our age. It's freeing, and it's one of the things I respect most about you is how you live. You remain the same guy you were when you were.
Well, I appreciate that, and you as well. Yeah. I think part of my success was growing up in a small town.
Yeah.
And if you were that guy that was driving down Main Street in Rockport, Indiana in a Ferrari, probably didn't have a lot of friends.
No.
That's just not so. I don't know. And all my friends are still back there, Right. I mean, I just went on a golf trip with 11 of them. And I don't know. I think that my small town values, helped with not over leveraging, not buying things that aren't needed
right.
and things. So again, boring, but it does work. And I love your example of the 10 homes. I think that's really powerful for anyone listening. I mean, because that's real. I mean, if you want to get to 10, there it is, $15K a month, and even scale it back into say, net of everything, it was 12 a month.
Right.
$12,000 a month, $1.5 million paid for with other people's money, meaning. Right. People paying rent,
right?
So
basically, you would have saved enough for that first down payment. Say it's $20,000. You'd saved enough for that second down payment using some rents to help you. Say $17,000. So and then the next ones you can pretty much build on your own. Let's say you save another $5,000 and then use the rents for property number 3 down payment. Mm-hmm. So that would mean you've got about $40,000, $42,000 total money invested of your savings, $42,000, and 15 years later you have a portfolio paid off that's worth 1.5. Talk about a return on investment. And I hesitate to say these numbers because it sounds so cliche and what you see on these infomercials.
It's legit, man.
But it's true.
It's legit.
It's true. It doesn't take much, and you will be a millionaire. We talked about this stat last week. I just want to throw it out there one more time. 90% of millionaires over the last 2 decades, according to Forbes, 90% of millionaires became millionaires through real estate. They didn't become real millionaires and buy real estate. They became millionaires through investing in real estate. It works. This plan works, and it doesn't take much. $42,000, $50,000 to become a millionaire, it's doable, and we can help people do that. And there's others like us who that's what they live for. There's nothing more rewarding for you and I than sitting down with someone, coming up with a plan, and 10 years later going to dinner with them. Or when we just had a client stop by not long ago, and he owns a lot of Domino's franchises. But it's neat to see their success years later as they come, and we've got like 8 properties. He has like 8 properties with us. That part gets fun. So reach out to someone like us. Reach out to us. Reach out to another provider somewhere where you want, and get this built. It's that easy.
At the end of the day, you always say it. I love it. Just do it.
Do it.
You gotta press forward and do it.
Don't be scared either to reach out to these folks. Again, if you're a newbie, if you've never done this, and you don't even have the money to do it, still reach out. Don't be embarrassed by that. Do it. That's the only way. They'll help you get to the start line. If you just dream of someday I'll get to that start line and I'll do it, you're not going to get there as quickly as if you go to someone and you say, okay, I want to own real estate. I don't have the money now. What do I need to do? We'll help you get to that start line.
We love boring. We love conservative. Yep. At the same time, boring and conservative can turn into big things. But that's our show for today. We're the Homeboys. We're glad that you joined us. Make sure you hit subscribe down below, and feel free to reach out to us anytime. Until then, happy investing.